Hey, so welcome back, I suppose, at this point. I appreciate you coming in for the interview, and I figured I would give you a campus tour now. So, this is the front entrance. You've been here. I mean, I hope it was you there, unless it's very uncanny that you look the same. To our left is the Performing Arts Center entrance, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Performing Arts Center is where our theater is at. This is the parking lot for visitors and for staff. Now, the first two rows we try to save for handicap, or the first row is for handicap primarily. The row afterwards and the two more rows after that are primarily for any visitor that may be there, and then the staff can use kind of the back last two rows for themselves. And we're usually okay with that. So if you ever needed to go in quickly in and out, say on a weekend, you could come up here and park in the front rows. At that point, it doesn't matter, but throughout the school week, do use the back two rows. As for entering the school, as I mentioned, you can come here on the weekend, and whenever you come into the school, make sure you use your ID, and there should be a small little electronic box on the left side of each entrance. You can use it to scan in just put your ID there, it'll make a beep, you can then use the door. Now you can only come in through the main entrance on weekends. But throughout the week, during school hours, you can use it anywhere you want. We'll be here early, so all the alarms will be set up so that way teachers can come in without issue. Far out over there, where the blazing, blinding sun's at, there's the student parking. The student parking is pretty big, so there shouldn't ever be an issue with them parking in teacher locations. Teacher locations are not only here, but we have plenty off to the left. I believe you saw them earlier, where it says faculty and staff. There's a sign, so you'll be able to park over there to the left, all alongside the left side of the building, and the back of the building. There's a small little parking area. And those are usually better off for teachers that are located in the back of the B and D hallways. They like to park back there, as well as the CT Ag teachers. And we normally don't have much issues with parking. Anytime you need any deal with anything regarding parking, the bookkeeper will help set up your parking pass and everything that you need. Do you have any questions?
For me specifically, where do you suggest they park?
Where do I suggest you park? All right, so while personally I would recommend those back two rows are really nice to park in. That lets you get in and out through the front entrance pretty easily. If you're located in the back hallway of B, then I would suggest you use the back parking area, which I can show you later. But otherwise, it's really up to you. If you don't want to deal with buses or anything of that nature, the front area is a lot better for you. You go back to over there or off to the side. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, let's take you through here in a second.
Okay.
All right, so this is the main entrance to our building, and we just walked through it a few seconds ago. But behind you is our front office. Now, normally I take you through there. However, we're having some technical difficulty with one of our pieces of equipment, and it's making a lot of beeping sound that we can't stop, and we also can't unplug it. So we're going to avoid going in there for right now. However, one thing I did want to talk about the inside of our front office. If you were to look through, you can walk a little bit over here, this area, there's two doors over there. Those two doors are the doors that are for our bookkeeper and our principal secretary. This door directly to the left right there, once you enter, is where our attendance clerks are at. And that's our desk for our receptionist. And right before that bookkeeper in the far right corner would be our sub-coordinator, our substitute clerk. And anytime if you're feeling sick, you get a hold of her. Maybe you're starting to feel sick midday. Get a hold of her. She'll see if she can line something up, and the attendance people and the substitute cook can help you find a quick sub and help you log it so that when you can go see the doctor, do whatever you need. The principal secretary inside her office is also the pathway to the head principal's office. So that's where you can access that office there. Alongside this, anytime you need to check in or out in terms of money, or check in money, or get any forms for money, the bookkeeper will handle it. And she also has a safe vault, so if you do any fundraising, there's a little vault that you just slip in the money for. If you need help with anything else and get a hold of stuff, get a hold of reception, just hit 0 on our phones in the second classroom. Contact the receptionist, and that way, if you need to quickly get a hold of an administrator, she can send out alarm to everyone else. On this side over here is where we have our library. It's a pretty extensive library, decent size. We have some spots over there where students can sit at those tables. And we have a research lab that's actually inside the library itself, and another room inside the library. The library is where a lot of students go during lunch, sometimes a little bit after school, and they also go there in the mornings. And it's open for the students to do. If you need to send a student to the library, you just need to make sure they have a library pass, and they should be able to go there. If the library is, for some reason, closed for a certain period of time due to us using the lab for testing or anything of that nature, the librarians and us staff here, administrative staff, will send out an email regarding that at the time that to not send a student there. Always send a student out there with a pass, and sometimes we will have some small faculty meetings in there, not too often. It just really depends on what we need for the appropriate size. In terms of working with the librarians for any research in your class, they do form some little miniature class sessions where they'll teach students the proper way to research. So you can always schedule that with the librarians, and they'll help teach that to your class. So that's a good way to incorporate research skills into your classes without having to necessarily teach them yourself. Do you have any other questions in this area?
Thank you. What is that?
Oh, the clinic sign. The clinic sign is where our nurse's office is at. We typically have 2 nurses on staff every day. Every now and then, for some reason, something happens in one of them, we either have someone else come in as well, or we might just be down 1 that day. But inside there, we'll do sometimes our faculty flu shots, but if who is feeling bad, you just give them the nurse's pass, they'll come over here, and they're usually pretty good about making sure that the student gets the appropriate attention they need in regards to their health. We don't want sick students having suffered inside our school. Rather, hopefully contact the parents and get them home so they can rest and get better. It's hard for them to learn if they're coughing up a lung. Is there anything else that you need to know? The textbook sign. So the textbook sign is pretty much our book room. It is where, at the beginning of the year, if you have any textbooks and class sets, you'll get them from our other administrators there that are in charge of the book room. And this is also where students check out their class set textbooks at times. So you can have your class set, and then the students will have their own copy that they check out from the book room. This is where they go to get it. It's almost reminds me of the concession stands, but except the concession that they're getting is their book. So that's pretty much this main area. As you can see, we do have an upstairs. So we'll be touring through that here shortly. All right. Yep. this is the back of the main office. Well, I say back, it's a little bit to the left and then back. And over here, this is where we have our mailboxes for teachers to get their mail. And not only our mailboxes just for teacher mail in terms of whether you get outside letters from companies, advertising magazines, or the little small mail orders that you've received. This is also an area where you might find goodies in there, from our staff, parent-teacher organizations, or any other organization that you might be part of. This is a good area to come check every day. We have handouts in here, and we usually have some small student aids come and place them in your mailbox. So don't be alarmed if you do see some student aids in this area. They're just simply putting up the items that's necessary. If you have a big package come in, our bookkeeper will send you an email, and she will alert you, notifying you that you have a massive package. The most common question we have is, where is that package found? Well, right over here to the left, or in front of these mailboxes, is where the massive packages are placed. And you can just see that there's permanent marker. For example, there's one right now, it's here, and it has a teacher's name on it. And so you just come pick it up. You don't have to alert the bookkeeper. She will see in the morning as she's coming to double check that it's been picked up. Right beside that is our recycling receptacle. It's one of our many recycling initiatives at the school. A lot of times we go around and pick up recycling within each classroom, but we place this one strategically here because sometimes you get mail that you don't need. Sometimes you print too many copies, or you have that one bad test dummy copy that came out completely wrong. You just come over here and place it in there. Now, a few things that we don't want in there, and it has a little list in front. It says, don't put plastic, trash, metal, or cardboard. We do cardboard pickup through the other recycling. And over here is our teacher's lounge. We have other areas that teachers can be in. We have like small offices peppered throughout the entire school, but specifically this is our main big teacher's lounge. Substitutes will be in here. Sometimes custodial staff will also be in here. In this teacher's lounge, you have your vending machine for sodas. You have your little small snack machine. You also have a automatic water dispenser for you. You can choose to just dispense ice by itself, water, or water and ice at the same time. I always choose to get the water and ice at the same time. It's great. The ice cubes are tiny, easy to crunch on. I know a lot of people don't like crunching on them, but I do. So it's pretty good. We also have cabinets in there that will have styrofoam cups and other small amount of stocking items. Alongside that, we have about 4 microwaves. So just in case someone is in the bathroom, which is directly behind you over here, we have 2 bathrooms, male and female, faculty only. Student aides can't use it. If someone put in their lunch and went to the bathroom, you're not stuck waiting 5 minutes for them to come back. You can immediately just use one of the other microwaves, heat up your lunch, eat it, and move on with your day. We typically have any type of extra snacks that we might have if we decide to bring donuts for the faculty. Be in here. So just look forward to this area. That's usually everyone's small reprieve from the other areas around here. Do you have any questions about this area that we're currently in? This room here, this is the teacher workroom. Inside this teacher workroom, you can make copies. You can do cutting, laminating, anything that you need done in terms of if you need a quick classroom set of copies, go ahead and do this teacher workroom. Use this. We have a few of them throughout the campus. One's on the 2nd floor, a few on the base floor, and I'll point those out as we continue our tour, so you don't have to use this one here. We do have a laminating machine and other stacks of printer paper in there, so a lot of the supplies you need are within these cabinets inside. Do you have any other questions regarding this area?
Okay. So do I have access to this area, or do I need to get something?
Oh, you don't need to get anyone unless you lose your key, in which case you have another problem going on. This key will allow you quick access. This is the same key that you would use for your classroom. It'll allow you outside, simply, pretty easy. It should allow you to get in most common shared areas. We made a pretty big push to have all our keys fit the common teacher workroom areas, the teacher's lounge, or any other area that a teacher needs common access to. The classroom key will fit it. Anything else?
Alright, so if I need to make copies, do I just go in here and make copies, or is there a special procedure for that?
To make copies here, if you need to make a massive print session, say you need about 600 copies made, we ask that you submit that. There's a form on our website and on our folders, our shared folder, that you fill out. You submit it to the email that's located on there, and they will print it and get it back to you. Typically about a week to 2 weeks turnaround time. They want you to do it about 2 to 3 weeks in advance, but sometimes you'll get it in about a week or two. They're pretty good about it. If you want to make a regular copy in here, all you have to do is scan your ID for your school, and that will allow you to make a copy or do your printing.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you.
Nothing else? That's it. All right. All right. So this area is our intermediate hallway to the Performing Arts Center, or we just call it the PAC. It's pretty much our stage or theater. And it comprises of multiple parts. As you see right behind you, it says East Stairs. There is a section for an above stairs area, and this is the main area over here. When you go through those double doors down the end, you're greeted with many rows of seats for our auditorium. Typically, in the mornings, if we have a faculty meeting, we'll do it in this area here with sign-in sheets right out here. And with that in mind, makes it pretty easy. Yeah, so if you're here in your class, you just go down that main hall, hit a left, come down this way, and that allows you to sign in, come over here, and get whatever information we need to tell you in the morning. Very seldomly do we ever use the upstairs for our own meetings. However, if we ever need to divide it up, right before those double doors on the left is it's still connected to the main theater area, but it's a little section of seats that can be sectioned off. We have a partition that we can drop down from the ceiling, and we can also bring down a projector screen and projecting the we need in there. So it's set up fairly well, and it's multi-layered for that aspect. Allows us to be up if we need to, and makes it pretty good for any type of small little presentations that we may need to show you or that is done here on campus. And not to mention, but we do have an elevator right over here, and this elevator, for some reason, someone ever needs assistance getting up there, our regular faculty keys, the one that you use to classroom, will allow you to access it. So if you ever need to use the elevator, or if a student is on crutches and needs to get to the second floor, you can assist them that way.
Am I able to reserve this for like a class or presentation or something?
Yes. So we typically have a little small form that you submit. You'll see it in our staff folders. I can also email it to you later, so that way you just email it to our one of our secretaries. And I'll give you her name as well later. It'll be in the email. You fill it out, and it's pretty much just to reserve your spot so we don't have teacher conflict. What we try to avoid is have teachers just come as they will and utilize the area. And so that way we don't have any issues between teachers trying to reserve the area, and we always know who is in this area. And in case something bad happened, we can pinpoint down, oh, it happened during this time, and gather information appropriately.
Yeah, okay.
Otherwise, I think most of this area is pretty self-explanatory. So, like any other theater.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next area. All right, so in this area here, we have a multitude of things to show you. Down this hall here, you do have a lot of the art classes as well as band courses. On this side, we have more art classes and some other band areas as well as film. Because as we came from the theater area and the PAC, this is where most of the art courses, theater, band, anything in that regards is located in this area. Back behind us, we have some extra seating, and students during lunch can come down this way instead, and they can elect to eat here. Typically, a lot of our band students and art students gravitate toward this area heavily. It becomes kind of their little just home, so to say. Beyond those doors, as you can see, there's another campus over there. That is the elementary school that's neighbor to us. This here, the pod marketplace. The pod is an area where you can get snacks. They have some chicken sandwiches as well, and other small foods. I think they have some salads as well. Sometimes it rotates and they'll have a different change of food items that are there. They have their times typically scheduled up there. So they have it from 8 to 9:10. And so that way students that are trying to get breakfast can come there and get breakfast or some snacks. They have some cereal, snack bars, cereal bars, Pop-Tarts, you name it. They have a lot of drinks there. Water, Gatorades. You know, you'll see some kids trying to sneak it inside the classroom as well when they shouldn't. But it's, you know, just ask them to put it away and it should be good on that regard. And there's just a bunch of small foods that anyone is welcome to, as well as faculty. Then we have A+ federal credit. A+ federal credit is also on the outside of our building, but they're down this hallway, and you can, if you ever decide to use them, you can always open up a bank account there. It's up to you. You're not required to do so, but many students do open up the A+ federal credit union accounts here, and that allows them easy access to banking and funds, so that way they can buy snacks to their heart's content. I mean, though we don't push that on it, it's completely their choice. They are located here on this campus as well, so it gives those students an option to talk to the Federal Credit Union and learn about financing a little bit more, as well as if they ever choose to open up an account, they can do so. Do you have any questions with this area?
Since you do have the A+, does that mean you can use cards here and not just cash?
Yes. So in the pod marketplace, they do support using your regular debit card, so you can go ahead and use that here. It's pretty nice. Typically the students, as you see the sign right behind you, directly behind you, it says no more than 5 students in the pod at a time. 1 in, 1 out, and they don't want backpacks in. But you don't have to wait in that line. You can just go in there as you want and grab whatever you need. Just show them your ID, you'll be fine. All right. We'll see the next area here in a second. Okay, so this is our cafeteria. It's pretty large, as you can see. It expands pretty immensely. We have tables all over here, tables over here. And we even have a spot where students can eat outdoors and look at our tennis courts right behind us over there. Which you can see the tennis courts through that window. Over there. Now, this is not the only place we use just for eating. We have another location, pod, and in that area they have another lunch option they can have as well. And typically that's more snacks, snack areas. But as you can see here, where the Texas American flag are, right below that we have a pull-down screen projector. So whoever needed to do any announcements for the students or any major faculty meetings, we do our best to do it here. Though, as you can tell, the acoustics aren't necessarily the best. So typically when you're in here, you have to speak a little bit louder. So you'll hear us projecting our voices quite a lot when we're in this area, and any small little chatter is immensely loud and makes our lunches seem a lot louder than they actually are. But it's also a lot of students that complain. You can see that over there, behind those bar drop downs are where students can go get their lunch at. And these little miniature receptacles, right beside that microwave, we have typically 2 microwaves for the students to use as well. Right over there is where they'll have like napkin dispensers or any type of utensils that they need. And we also have all our water bottles for the students so they can have access to water over there. There's even some of them that have where they can put their bottle there so they can have bottled waters. Water poured into the bottle pretty easily. Do you have any questions about this area?
What kind of lunch options do you have around here?
So what kind of lunch options do we have around here? Not only do we have just our standard lunch line, which varies from day to day, we have some pretty good staples here. We have like our little Italian bistro, or Asian and Italian bistro. It's usually some type of stir fry option there. We have usually our tortilla station or our little fresh mix station, which is typically like some sort of burritos. We have a line specifically for sub sandwiches as well. They aren't really the highest of end sub sandwiches, but they're pretty good. That's also a classic staple that we have here. We have some spots that are only just for like the salad bar section as well for students that don't want to eat meat, or you still do have toppings like chicken that you can have on there, but you can just have more vegetable oriented dish as well. And overall, pretty good balance. Though you can't see it and it's not here, sometimes we do have food trucks that come, and students will usually have access to them from the ride over there near where the tennis courts are at, and off this side over here as well. And we typically have a taco truck that will come by, and a few other food trucks throughout the year. A lot of times we invite some of them over as a way to reward the students for having great attendance or excellent behavior, low amount of referrals, or things of that nature. Helps keep them incentivized to do the right thing.
So, can the teachers also utilize this lunch area?
Yeah, the teachers can use this lunch area as well. Whenever the teachers want to get lunch, they don't have to worry about waiting in line. Typically, they have their own little line, so to say, and you can get your lunch then from there. Roughly about $3 for lunch, so it's not too bad. And so if you forget your lunch, you're not breaking the bank as well. Is there anything else that you want to know about this area? All right, we'll move on to our next area. Sure. All right, so this is an area in between our hallways. This is between B hall and D hall. As I wanted to show you all the halls, but some halls are being currently cleaned. Then we have A hall, B hall, C hall, D hall, E hall, and F hall. B, C, D halls all have an upstairs section. So you'll hear someone say B200, which would be an area that's located above us and back towards B hall. D200 would be above this area, and also 200. As you see it right out here, we have our courtyard. You can always have some class or come out here with your students if you want to test something. I know you're doing potentially items with robotics. So with that in mind, you could have a track that you make out here and have them do their controlling out here. Or they can do testing out here. Sometimes some of our students have done painting out here as well. And it helps with it because if they needed to do any type of spray painting, if you do ever do any sort of spray painting, we have to make sure we put stuff down so we don't get it on the, whether it's plastic, cardboard, so we don't get it on the actual sidewalk. And typically we ask you to do it in the grass instead. You would handle this sort of class activities out here. One thing that we used to do, and we don't do it anymore, is that we would have students come out here for lunch, but we kind of stopped that whole trend from happening because when students came out here for lunch, it became just one more area we would have to keep track of them on. And with the ability to kind of jump up and down, move up and down these brick areas, it became kind of a safety issue, so we didn't want to have to do that unless we had someone monitoring. But again, feel free to use this area. You don't necessarily need permission to do so. You can just bring class out here and work out here. One thing I would ask is that if you do something like this, maybe just let the administrator know that's in this area. Usually they have an office down each hallway. Each hallway has one office for the administrator to be there, and their secretaries as well. You can also put a note on your door informing any person that, any other administrator that would be doing a walkthrough that you're located right now in the east courtyard, and they would know to go, oh, they're over there. On the right, or my right, your left, you'll see this fenced off area. This fenced off area is where we would have the shop. Geometry and construction, and any sort of construction activity gets done out there. It's where one of our CT courses is held at, and they build small little projects such as tables, cabinets, shelving. They've also created some for teachers to use before, which has been kind of nice in that regard. They also usually have a bigger project called like a tiny shed, and they auction it off later on in the year for fundraising. Usually does very well, sells upwards up to like $10,000. Very nice activity. The students are very involved, and they get a great opportunity to work with our teachers in that area. Further beyond, which you can't see right now, is where our ag building will be. So back in this area, we would have ag, ROTC, and our bus turnaround. So the buses will always be on this back side. There's also some teacher parking back there. It's a little bit more limited, more of the CT teachers park there, but overall, you can use it if you would like, if you don't want to park in front. Given that your classroom is also in this back hallway area, in the back B100, or the B100 area, parking back there can make it easy for you to get in throughout the week, because you would just scan your card, like I showed you earlier, on these little modules that are typically outside the store, and you would just be able to get in. So that way you don't have to go through the front entrance. And do you have any questions regarding this at all?
For this one, no. I'm
You think you're okay? All right. Yeah, this one is pretty self-explanatory. And anytime you need to exit the building, you can always use these doors. They're never inhibited.
Okay.
So that's one key portion that I didn't mention, but it's nice to know.
Yeah.
So as we're going through here, this is the D hallway. D hallway is the host of some English, some Spanish, and history teachers. It kind of has a small conglomeration. Typically because a lot of our English teachers are in C hallway, but we do have a small fraction of spillover over in the front classrooms over there. We have some Spanish teachers over here on this right side. And then the first room that we passed by earlier has the intervention slash principal. And his room is up in the top left. So if you ever need to see that principal, you just go into that room. And within this hallway, there's nothing really quote unquote special about it, but it is a good hallway where you can actually see everything kind of laid out. Most of our hallways are laid out in this fashion where you have a hallway that comes through the main hall, and that has an extra corridor off to the right. Not only that, but you have the upstairs area that connects this hallway to an upstairs version of it. Now, the one key thing to remember is that not every hallway has a stair leading upwards. The D hall, B hall, and C hall do, but one of the back halls near the F hall does not. And by what I mean, it doesn't have the extending corridor. Yes, it has a way down on each side, but it does not have the extra connection like this one goes from B to D. That one just strictly goes in and doesn't have the extra connecting hallway like this that we're seeing here. So it sounds confusing at first until you see it. It's more like a dead-end hallway, but you still have the downstairs that you can go down at the end of that hallway. So that's realistically the only difference there. Any other questions that you would have about this area?
I think not right now. I think I'll just have to explore my way through here first.
Yeah, it's not that hard to get used to. I know I probably explained the F hall stairway a little bit odd, but it's not too bad. They're all similarly laid out. The most confusing would be on the opposite end where we have 2C halls. We didn't label it that way. That was from whenever the school was created. They decided to give us 2C halls. Not exactly sure why, but it is. And that's only in the upstairs portion. All right, so this is the back of the building. Right beside us is actually the tool shed I pointed out to you earlier. Well, not only tool shed, the workspace for the geometry and construction students, or the construction students. This is the CTE pathway. This is where they do a lot of their building, and you'll see a lot of their wood blocks, little projects going on over here. Far off over there, in that area, beyond the small parking lot, is our ag building. That's where we have our metalworking classes. Any of our agricultural classes are all back there. Floral design is also back there. This parking space is for teachers as well. So you can always park over here and use that to get into your room, which is over here in this area. But you can also choose the front or any of the side areas as well. There's a small little portable over there. In that portable, you have some other ag classes. So there might, I believe, one teacher's in there right now. We had a lot of teachers switching outside portables now back into inside classrooms. So there should only be one ag teacher in one of those portables back there, and that will help reduce all the teachers having been out here instead of being inside. But they do use that classroom area. This pathway here is our bus turnaround and bus stop. With that in mind, one of my recommendations is if you ever need, for some reason, to leave early as soon as the students let out, and of course you would let us know, but I would avoid parking over here because that will make it much more difficult to get out, because not only will you have to go and wait for the buses, you'll have to go all the way to the front and also wait for the front parking traffic. And finally, over here, directly in front of you, you see these little red bars standing up. They have like little pull-up bars. You'll see ROTC students here. And that's their building, so we have a strong ROTC department here. And you'll have a lot of those students in your classrooms. You'll see them in uniform on, I believe, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And with that in mind, if you ever need to talk to one of the sergeants, just go in there and you can talk to them, and usually they can help you with any issues that you might have with any of their students that are in your classroom. Typically they're model students, so you won't have any trouble with them. Is there any questions you have? I don't want to keep you out here too long in the heat.
Okay, I see a little building over there. What is that building? Is that part of the school?
Oh,
or?
so the one where you see kind of a little remnants over there on the right of the ag building and the one over there, that is another middle school. We have, as I showed you earlier, there's a elementary school, middle school behind us, and then we're the high school here. That place that says authorized vehicles only, whenever the buses aren't there, you can use that little pathway to that middle school. So that's not too bad. Otherwise, if it's not available for use, we'll block it off with the gates that swing open. One little addendum is that off to the right over there is the soccer and football practice fields. So that's where those areas are at. And that should be all, right?
Yes.
Hey, well, this is the classroom you're going to be in this year. So, right now, you can rearrange it however you would like. You have tables right here alongside. This is how the previous teacher had it. There was always a little excessive amount of chairs here, and you can get those removed if you have too many for your arrangement. I always recommend keeping a few extra, because the first few days you might get a little bit more students than you anticipated, and having those extra set of chairs, it's always nice, so at least the students have some place to sit in while we get schedules fixed up. Over here to the right is a lot of the Beck's robotic sets. You should be pretty familiar with them. We discussed it during the interview. And they're laid out in these cabinets here. There's also another set of bins over there to the right. And I believe the other teacher across the hallway in B109 also has another few cabinets of Beck's robotics pieces. So you can rearrange that as necessary. I believe after talking to your CTE coordinator as well, that she mentioned the possible setup of getting new shelving for you to rearrange that. So that's something to look forward to. Back here, probably wondering, what are these doors? This back left door is an office. The other teacher here before used to use it as his own personal secondary office. He would store very important items over there. Anything that he felt was expensive would be stored back there and locked away in cabinets in there. It's pretty decent size. Over here on the right is a storage room. There will be a lot of extra storage items there. The teacher before also did computer maintenance, and that's why you're also lucky enough that you have a computer lab. You'll see some extra little bits of equipment from older PCs that he would use to take apart and work with the students, and we can find another location for those a little bit later as well. But you do have a lab, and so that's a bonus, and you do need a lab anyways if you're working with robotics, because they'll need to go on and do some programming and coding. Back to the office, one other little addendum I wanted to make is it does have a back door that leads to the geometry and construction classes, or the construction courses. So you might be able to hear a little bit of, I guess, dings and little other noises due to tools that are going on over there. Typically, if they're in this classroom, you don't have any trouble hearing them. Over here, again, you have your board and your short throw projector. Short throw projector means that it's aiming right at the board, and you don't have to worry about accidentally blocking the board if you're doing something projector. It's interactive. The pin sets are given out at the library, and you'll be able to get your set of pins and remotes for that from the library. You check it in, you'll check it out at the start of the year, once the school year begins. Do you have any other questions in this area?
For me personally, if there are like large furnitures that I either want to be removed or taken into the classroom, how would we get that done?
Okay, so large pieces of furniture that you want to get removed, and I guess maybe taken out of your classroom, maybe if you can't move them yourself, one thing we do suggest is that if you can, at the start of the year, once we're beginning, you can send out an email to the other teachers and say, hey, does anyone want this item? Given that this is within the CTE department, do double check that it's not a CTE item, are owned by CTE. Most of the tables are not. So in that regards, you're typically able to just say, I have an extra table. You can have maybe one of the other teachers help you put it out in the hallway, send out the email, see if anyone wants it. If no one wants it, then what you should do is send out an email or message to our secretary that handles maintenance as well, maintenance requests, and she also gets in touch with those personnel that go in and remove those items from those classrooms. Sometimes we will be like, we will understand that we have a need for this item in another area, and she'll be the person who will be arranging the movement of the furniture.
Okay.
I'll get you her email address a bit later.
Okay.
I'll send it to you along with the other information we discussed earlier. Is there anything else that you're worried about with this classroom?
No, I think that's all I have for now.
One other thing, I know you didn't have any more questions, but I just reminded myself of it once you mentioned the maintenance request. If you have any issues with the internet connection with these, put in a service work order. It'll be a big red button on your desktop.
Okay.
And that will let you contact district personnel that handle our computers and networking. I know that's also been a concern with teachers that use the labs. So just put one in there. You can let us know as well, and we'll help get that going for you to make sure we get this fixed.
Okay. And that's it.
All right. Thank you.